Snap fits are a super useful feature. They can be used to combine parts like lids and accessorize larger objects. But the way snap fits were designed in the past does not work with modern 3D printing production. In this video, we will show you 7 ways to make snap fit connectors that are strong, reliable, and optimized for mass production 3D printing and print on demand. The most common kind of snap fit that you'll run into is just the simple flange, which was designed originally for injection molding, where you just have a thin, compliant piece of material right here and a hook on the end of it all that is able to interface with an inner ledge inside of the part or slot. This is a perfectly reasonable way of doing it, but with modern 3D printing, you can have the layer lines, which can lead to a break area. If this is over compressed in some sort of a way, then you can have break where this flange will just come off like that. And while it's very difficult to see their layer lines, you see how it creates a perfect split right along there. Many people will still design parts like this because if you're printing it and you're on the print bed right here, you may have to print it vertically like this to where this is the Z-axis on the print bed. So you have the layer lines coming across that eventually create this breakage and flange right there. And many people feel that they're restricted to this, but this actually is not required when designing for 3D printing. There are ways to design these parts to be more reliable. And one of the very simplest ones is to just take it and turn it on its side. Rather than printing it vertically like this, where it can then split across the layer line, just print it horizontally like this. Now the layer lines are going in the same direction as the flex of the flange. So you get something really strong and reliable. It still behaves exactly the same as its original counterpart. So these are a really good way of designing it, where simply a change in the 3D printing orientation can take something from super brittle down to very, very reliable just by turning it from this direction over to this direction. But this is a very traditionalist kind of design in general, and while it is reliable and you never want to just do extra things that are not necessary, 3D printing gives you the ability to create all kinds of new geometries that were never possible before. The restrictions of this is that you generally don't have a lot of control of it, and if you start putting in things like slots in order to make these more flexible, you can run into trouble. Because this entire long flange right here can be very stiff, so the snap might be too difficult to get into the hole if you're not careful. You might also want more throw, you might want it to flex more. So we're going to continue to move into the next versions that give you a lot more flexibility around to actually design one of these. One of the versions that is more modern that you can use is just a horizontal leaf spring like this. These leaf springs give you a really soft touch, a lot of flexibility, and a lot of throw to where you can have something that interfaces really tightly and much more quickly than something like this. Again, it follows the same rules. The layer lines along the layer lines are super strong, so you can do whatever you want, as opposed to perpendicular to the layer lines. So long as you print this like this on the print bed to where all the layer lines are in this orientation, then you shouldn't have any sort of problem with it. Again, you would never want to print something like this because that would just be ridiculous. They would snap off immediately right there. So make sure you understand the orientation of your part when designing one of these pieces. But this type of part can be really useful if you want to have a really large interface, or maybe you have something that needs to actually contact a switch when it's inserted, to where you press these two components together and then this turns on that second part when these parts are pressed together. You also have a lot more grab because this interfaces just much more than that small tab can. So now it's more difficult to get out without heaving and hoeing because it just gets so much more purchase. And of course you can make this thicker and thinner in order to make it stiffer and harder. Those are the simplest ways of modifying these types of designs. But sometimes you want just a really quick grip. You can see right here that I kind of have to angle it into there in order to kind of get it in, which might not be the best sort of interface that you want. You may want something tighter. In order to get that stiffness, you can just make them shorter like this. It also creates a symmetry. This has kind of an asymmetrical clasp with the other part because only this side is contacting with the slot. But with this way, it becomes symmetric again to where you can press it straight in. All the same principles apply, but you now have a little bit shorter throw, a little bit stiffer springs without quite as much travel distance there. Again, still printed just like this on the print bed so that you know that it's reliable. But these small springs are easier to print with on the print bed. And in fact, when you're trying to design the first layer of a part, you generally don't want large, thin areas on the first layer because this could peel up and cause all types of failures. Simplifying it down like this tightens it up to where you could put a small connector feature right here, which is about 0.3 millimeters thick. So when you're printing it up, the first layer is one continuous row. Just connect the first layers on these, and then they will print much more reliably. Because when you have a single located tip out there, the nozzle can run out to this point, come back and it can cause a peel that would ruin that spring. So with these types of things, you do generally want to use something like mouse ears, or again, connect it back to the main body in order to make sure that it prints reliably. But these types of simple leaf springs are very easy to model, and you can see here that we've also applied a chamfer to the top of it, because when it's printed on the print bed, you have the layers coming up here. You'll want to make sure that you don't have overhangs that could interfere with the springs. On the first CAD model, you can see that there's actually a 90-degree split right here, but that will sag down onto the springs, requiring support. Just adding a small chamfer right there will eliminate that need for support and completely clean up your part. Also, as always too, make sure that you fillet the outer vertical edges of any part, because when it's printed on the print bed, as the nozzle is coming around here, you do not want to hit a sharp corner where it'll cause a bang bang, because that can create artifacting on the outside of your parts that doesn't make them look very good. But again, these are kind of brute force sort of springs, and while they're quick and easy to model, they might not be exactly what you need. You may need something more subtle or more intentional. There is this other type of leaf spring, which again gives you more throw and a more traditional type of style. Many of you have probably seen these types of button clasps on parts that have stuck together before. Most of the time, they will be designed vertically, where someone would try to design it where the part inserts like this and the spring is vertical. This is the traditional way of doing it for molding, where you needed to eject these type of parts. But you can get the exact same feature out of 3D printing just by going from a 90 degrees over to horizontal. And now you have all the flexibility that you want. It'll never break off, and you can still have it interface with the parts however you like. Now, this button is the main interface, so you get something really clean. Again, it's really easy to model because you just do a simple extrusion and then add on the extra distance. So it can be simpler to model and quicker to model than these, where you may have to tune the outer contour or do more modeling with a spline, whereas this is a simple straight cut and then just a button on the outside. But again, you have to deal with the symmetry. And you can of course do double versions like this, where this is made shorter and have another one coming from that side. There's a lot of ways to get to these types of snaps, but this is one that you will very commonly see in injection molding sort of designs, but people will attempt to print them and then they will not know to orient it in the direction that's correct. These can also be really useful because these can act as support. You can technically insert them anywhere along here and they will slide and press in and hold up the area above them. So you can create a slot right here with one of these in it and a slot right here with one of these in it, and it will give you all of the controller snapping that you want to. So you could actually get an almost progressive sort of a snap, where it's not just a single mount, but something that would travel all the way along there as the part shifts from one point to another. The button tips are also really good for easy in and out, as opposed to these rigid outer edges that just lock in and are pretty much permanent because they're not really designed to flex back in there. So designing these types of snaps can be really useful in a number of different situations. But we've run into an issue here. All the snaps that we've shown have been single-sided. You have one side, press into the part, and then snap in there. But what if you want to go with the rest of the edges? Well, you can obviously still print like this, but if you are printing on all four edges down here, where you want to snap on this side, snap on this side, snap on this side, like this was a lid or an inner slot, if you are printing it like this, well, this top snap would end up cutting across here, which means that it's printing like this across the top, and then the left side is like that, and then the bottom, you can't even get the tongue right. So there's no way at all to get this designed. So the first thing you gotta do is, if you're designing a four-way snap like this, how do you design it to where you do not print it vertical, where the layer lines go across here and end up breaking it off, but somehow put it on its side like this? Well, the very simplest solution is literally to just rotate 90 more degrees. Now every one of these flanges is in the plane of the printing. So all of them are flexible and can go into whatever part that you need them to, and they work really well. Now, there's an number of issues with this part. Number one, if you're printing like this, these downward parts are just fine because the first layer goes from there and it's a 45-degree angle straight up, but then you also have these upper flanges right here, which will end up needing to be supported, or just having a defective layer right there that could ruin your print because you'll have sag coming down from this. This outer edge just doesn't hold up very well. So you have to have support generated up underneath here, which is not ideal. You don't really want that. The other issue is that you don't really need this inner body. It's not necessary at all in order to make this part work. All it does is stop these things from flexing too far, which could be okay. It could eliminate some flexibility, but if you're really trying to make an optimum part, you really don't want wasted volume if you can avoid it. This does nothing, it adds nothing, it gives no support to anything. So there's really no reason to have that much volume right there unused. So what we're gonna do after we made that chamfer so that we can sit it at 90 degrees, which by the way, is a universal tip to use. We have another video where we talk about slanting parts and how to do large parts like this so that they don't fall over, and if they're asymmetric, they don't suddenly just tip like that and ruin your print. You can check out that video in the links down below. So we're gonna go ahead and design the kind of the perfect version of this that no longer has any sorts of issues. But why is this all important? Why is redesigning this stuff correctly? Well, the old ways of designing things, these types of flanges, were designed for injection molding, which was the old way of making stuff. But now you have access to thousands of machines. We operate a service called Teleport, where anybody can upload several 3D models and then have access to 1,000 machines to print, pack, and ship those models directly to their customers for them. You can connect it directly into your Etsy store or your Shopify store so that when you get an order, the item is printed and shipped right to your customer for you. You instantly get 1,000 3D printers to produce your part. And tomorrow you could make one part or you could make 1,000 parts tomorrow. And that has never been possible before. But in order to use it well, you need to understand the process that you're using and how to get it optimized to get the best result possible. 3D printing can make any part that you could possibly want, but you need to design for it. Generally, it's called design for manufacturing, but DFAM is something just to be aware of. So learning these different techniques of creating the features that you need, but optimized for this particular process, saves you cost, creates a way higher quality product, and allows you to use these modern services that can help your business grow in ways that you've never seen before. So check out Teleport over at slantpod.com and you can see what it's like to have 1,000 3D printers connected into your business to fulfill orders. All right, so we're fighting with this issue where we have support over there and we have this inner volume. So what if we just eliminated all of those by just eliminating those overhangs? It looks something like this. You still have the part printing on the print bed just like this, but in order to eliminate the overhangs, we just cut a 45-degree chamfer on all the edges. Now, rather than having a straight overhang that requires support, we have a straight chamfer. They still have all the flexibility that we want, and they're not backstopped, so it is possible for me to potentially break one of these off, but we have a lot more control, and it is easier to remodel these to make them thicker in order to be less flexible if we want a harder snap fit. Also, the first layer got simpler because rather than a first layer that is this fork sort of shape where you have these failure points out here that might need to be tied back to the main body or have mouse ears applied, you have a single simple triangle. We've removed all of the complexity of the first layer and turned it into a single simple rectangle, and then we have eliminated all the overhangs through the rest of the part, and we also eliminated a ton of volume on the internal part of the part. So we have ended up with something far simpler that is far more robust, far more reliable, and can be produced really easily. So this part can now go ahead and snap into its space, taking all the space that you want, and is much more rigid than this one where we were making really thin flanges there, because we can make these as thick as we want and also make the buttons larger if we want to. So ultimately, one of the easiest tricks that you can use is just really understand your orientation. If you do, you're able to put all the features that you need into the orientation that you need so that they are strong and reliable, and you don't end up with snapping parts. Because the most common thing that can come up is people will simply just print the part vertical like this, and then whenever they're dealing with it, it ends up snapping. But that's because they're using a design style that is a little bit outdated, and literally if you just turn it 90 degrees, you end up with a strength and reliability where you can't possibly hurt the part at all, because all four directions are in the layers just by going from something like this to something like this over to that. And now you have created something that is strong, reliable, can be used in any implementation, and is as good or better than anything else. Because oddly enough, this type of part with these 4 buttons on the outer side makes it very difficult to mold, or at least very expensive. But you get this type of stuff for free with 3D printing because you have so much control of the model itself and can create any geometry you want. So go ahead and check out Teleport over at slantpod.com and see how it can grow your business, or just be sure to be ready when 3D printing comes along and allows you to create real models at scale. You can make 100,000 of these tomorrow without having to wait for a mold or cut a mold. You eliminate that cost, you eliminate the shipping, and you can change the design anytime you want to. So have a great day, everybody. And if you're looking to learn more tips about 3D printing, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, or check out volume 1 of this design sequence where we designed different types of snap fits about 4 years ago. Have a great day, everybody.